Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our first in many series of Grow Local. So today we are very excited. My name is Kathy Goodall and I am the CMO for Carib Shopper. And Carib Shopper is a brainchild behind Grow Local. And so Grow Local was birthed to help entrepreneurs and SMEs throughout the Caribbean to have a place where we can go to build and to grow. One of the things that we realized was missing is the ability to learn from each other, to develop each other, and to grow each other. We have so much talent in the Caribbean that we haven't been tapping into. And so Grow Local will be that place for us to tap into the talent of the Caribbean. So I'm going to introduce to you my CEO, the CEO for Carib Shopper, Mr. Kadian Preston.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Catherine, thank you for the brief introduction. And I'm very excited to be here.
And we are very excited to have you. So I am going to hand over to you now so that you can introduce the rest of the panel.
Hi, everyone. Today we put together a really nice panel for you. We have Alberto Roncongiolio from Western Union. Alberto is responsible he's a senior manager and head of financial institutions for the Latin America and Caribbean region for Western Union.
Hi, Kadian.
How you doing, Alberto?
Doing all right. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Awesome. Next up, we're introducing Terry Ann from IADB. Terry Ann Sigri is a private finance operations senior specialist at IDB Labs, and we're really excited to have her presence here today. Thank you for coming, Terry. And up next.
Hey.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We have Lily Dash, co-founder and CEO of WeFetch. Lily filled in for us last minute, and we're really excited to have her here because she has a really strong presence in what's happening in the world today.
Thank you.
So, without further ado, let's get into the conversation. Today, the world is filled with significant challenges as of COVID-19, and researchers have coined it the new low-touch economy. In any epidemic, any challenges worldwide, we're always faced with what are the outcomes, the anxieties, whether you're a person that's just living your life or you're a business. The reason for bringing together Alberto from Western Union, Terry Ann from IDB, and Lily Dash, the entrepreneur from WeFetch, and also myself, is to have a discussion around how we can be more agile and thrive in a new low-touch economy in the Caribbean, and work through some of these challenges that we all will face, right? The meaning of the low-touch economy is that while in COVID and even after, consumers, businesses will be very resistant to having direct contact with humans as this epidemic starts to subside. And a lot of different behaviors have happened and are going to change the way we work, the way we live over the last 6 weeks. And I wanted to ask the panel, their thoughts and things that we could do as entrepreneurs, as business people, in order to keep the economy rolling, keep people in jobs, and make the changes that are necessary to adjust to the current stature of life today. So without ado, I wanted to ask everyone in the panel, and you could just jump in where you see necessary. With all the changes in traditional business, what challenges do you foresee for the business and the economy in the Caribbean? And Terry, you could go first. Terry?
Katie, I think she's
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. At this point, we are all aware of everything that has been happening. I think Keaton gave a great synopsis of where we are, what is happening, and as a business, as a community, we all struggle with COVID-19 and the impacts that it will have on both businesses on a personal level and how do we move towards rebuilding our economy in a time when the way we used to operate no longer exists. We now have to come up with new solutions, new technologies towards creating solutions for the future. And at IDB, so I'm with the IDB group, the Inter-American Development Bank, under the IDB Lab, which is the innovation laboratory of the group, which is geared towards creating innovation, inclusive growth within the Caribbean and Latin America. What that means is that we try to provide both financing, capacity building, connections for businesses within the Caribbean so that they can innovate and take on the new mandate of how we will operate in the future. No longer will we be operating from how we are used to operating. No longer will be our staff will be coming into the office every day, but how can we transform what we're doing in this day, a digital day of technology? So the IDB Lab is here. We are the innovation arm of the bank. We're looking to test and pilot new innovative solutions. I'll just go really quick, and I know I'll back to you, Kaden, and questions can come afterwards. But even recently, we just put out a call for proposals towards innovative solutions to tackle the COVID challenge that is out there, whether from a health perspective and knowledge economy's perspective, whereby persons need to be upskilled to operate in this new day that we're living in. So the IDB Lab is there to provide solution and to provide assistance to the private sector, universities, NGOs towards this vision for tomorrow.
Thank you. Alberto, what are some of the changes that you foresee with Western Union and as the pandemic of COVID-19 has changed the face of your business today?
Yeah, for sure. So, we're obviously living in a time, we're going through something that we've never gone through before, right? Whether it's Western Union or any other industry. So as challenging as this is, it really creates a push to innovate, right? There's always, everyone's always trying to innovate, trying to move forward. But this is really the first time that I've been in payments in about 12 years that you're trying to innovate, but with a higher sense of urgency, because the need is so severe to get and to receive money. I'm on the business solution side of the business, which is the B2B arm of Western Union. So, in the Caribbean and in Latin America, I work with banks. So through banks, we provide our rails to SMEs. And SMEs to Western Union is the bread and butter. For us, small, medium enterprises are the backbone of any economy anywhere. So if we can help those SMEs wherever they may be, that's doing quite a bit. Because if we can keep the smaller folks running, those are the folks that are producing food, creating, just making whatever product they're making. So they're the ones that are keeping the economy alive right now. So what are we doing? We're trying to push for digital payments as much as we can. The dream would be for digital to be 100% globally, but there are folks out there that because of either where they are, regulations or compliance issues, or maybe their preference, they still want to receive cash. So how can we service everybody, whether you need cash or whether you need a digital channel? So those are the type of things that we're doing. And you know, I must say that over the last 3 to 4 weeks, it's just been, it's been my last 12 years, but on fast forward. I mean, we're just trying to do so much right now, and it's incredibly cool to see the amount of talent that we're putting together, whether internally at Western Union or right now on this call with you guys. I mean, I think this is the time right now where if there is no collaboration, cross collaboration between industries, you know, we're really not going to come out any better than we were before. So this is a chance for people to work together, come up with new solutions, and be agile. You know, just come up with new stuff right now, not 6 months from now, not a year from now. You know, I'm talking about weeks.
Thank you, Alberto. And we received a question from one of our viewers saying, "What are the requirements for digital payments?" And I'm guessing they're saying that the unbanked to receive digital payments. Like, what are very quickly, what are some of the roadblocks with that, and how are you working on hurdling those? If you could speak on it.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, as I said, I work on the business solution side of the business. So my area is not necessarily money transfers. So I'm not as involved in the digital remittance. However, I can tell you that one of the biggest roadblocks that we have right now are regulatory compliance, right? I mean, it's very easy to say, hey, we're going to go and do this tomorrow, or we're going to go this, you know, next week or whatever. But, you know, there comes a point where you design a product and then there's also the reality, right? What are the local regulations? What are we allowed to do? How can we deliver money more efficiently? You know, is the local infrastructure, does it permit us to deliver funds digitally? So, you know, we also have to find local partners to make this delivery. So it's a very complex situation. I mean, you know, you're also talking about individual countries. So it's not as easy, you know, sending funds to Jamaica may not be, you know, the complexities are very different than sending funds to, you know, South Africa or St. Lucia or the US or Canada. Every country has their own set of rules and regulations. And I think that, you know, that could be the biggest roadblock right now.
Got you. Lily, you have a very interesting story. Talk to us about the opportunities that has happened for you and your business through COVID, and how did you react to it?
Hi guys. Okay, so firstly, I just thank you so much. Alberto, like, resonated with so much of what you said, and Terry, and I will loop back in. So, WeFetch is an e-commerce platform for the Caribbean. But not only are we an e-commerce platform, we're also a delivery solution. So, like Alberto was saying, a payment solution is no good without a product to sell, right? We can have the best solution in the world without a product to sell. We don't have anything. And without a delivery solution, as in a method to exchange those goods physically, then we don't have anything either. So the ecosystem has to work together to really create an environment where digital payments are incentivized, right, from a local capacity. So, you know, and we haven't really seen that before because we haven't had this kind of, you know, innovation that was needed because of these particular types of needs. So I think that we're managing, you know, we've seen an 80% crash in our industries, in our economies, in our GDP. So that means 80% of us are earning 80%, you know, to make it through the hardship that is coming as a result of what we're experiencing right now, and the hardship that might be down the road, you know, just becoming as efficient as we possibly can.
Gotcha.
So we're looking building out networks. We just signed a deal with the UNPP, which is a similar situation to the IDB. They're here to support local innovation, to support the lifestyle of what we have here in the Caribbean, and just empowering everyone, mass inclusion. You know, it's not just about financial inclusion is banking the unbanked, but also having access to wealth generating products or wealth generating technology, with, like, you know, whether that be digital service solutions, whether that be e-commerce solutions where people can come online for basically free to sell their product. You're giving them that. Right now, all of us. So let's think about a celebrity or an agent. Those celebrities, they have agents, right? The agents that push them and get them the PR and get them all of the contacts that they need so that those people can become a superstar. Similarly, with our technology and what we're trying to do is whether you're a farmer, a fisherman, a bakery, you don't have the wherewithal. I've been in tech for 10 years. Last year I was, all over the world speaking at the same IDB events in Argentina on technology, on blockchain, on cloud. So I have a lot of experience, and it's now about sharing that experience with everyone so that we can all succeed, we can all thrive, we can all get through this.
So what I'm hearing from everybody as a consensus, the way out of this pandemic and the way forward to boost the economy is definitely collaboration, which started to be a trend recently, but it's now becoming a requirement. It's a requirement for survival, right? And the beauty about that, as Caribbean people, we know how to stay together, but as businesses, I can say for everyone here, I've been in touch with Terry, Alberto, and Lily just recently, but we're all working as a team to create an ecosystem for growth, right? Whether it be for SMEs or it be for the movement of money or the movement of commerce, we're all collaborating to make this happen. So the real takeaway from this is, no matter what you're doing at this point, standing alone and trying to do the fight on your own is going to be futile. Collaboration is a requirement for survival and for growth. And there's no better time than now to do it. And I'm really happy to see that Terry, running her division at IDB Lab, is saying now. A lot of big companies before would be planning 6 months, execution another 6 months. Alberto, huge conglomerate like Western Union, is saying no. And Lily showed us that in 3 weeks, she was able to pivot her business, start WeFetch, and is now helping to support the economy by moving the sale of goods in and around Barbados, and now is looking to expand outside that, which is creating opportunity for existing business owners who couldn't have people come into their storefronts, and it is now diverting that. And so this will roll into the next questions, and I'm not going to pick. I'm just going to let you guys choose to comment. What sectors do you think are going to be greatly affected, and what are some things they can do to become agile, make changes quickly in order to survive what we're in right now? Terry, you could go.
I could start by saying I think the biggest one at this point is going to be the tourism sector, and what will that product look like years from now or next year, or when this should continue in the future. Tourism is pretty much at a standstill now, and I think at this point that's where the tourism sector need to relook at what is possible. How do you bring innovation into the product that you are now offering, whether it is from a bringing in more augmented reality to supplement some of this. So I'm just saying there are opportunities. There also is the agricultural sector. I do believe that we have been importing a lot. This is not just Jamaica, just the Caribbean imports a lot of what we use. And now it's a time to really look at how we treat our agricultural produce. How do we get into production? How do we satisfy our needs, whether from a small farm perspective or a large farm perspective? So those two definitely, I think, off the top. I think a big sector also is everything to do with finance and access to finance and actually payments. I think that is a prime opportunity. So yes, it's faced with challenge, but I think there is a ripe opportunity for these financial companies to integrate payment systems and to simplify the processes around KYC, using digital technology to help to onboard more of the persons who are not included in the informal sector. How do we bring them into the system so that they can also be a part of the innovation, be a part of the process, and not be left out? So I look at COVID as, yes, there are challenges, but amidst all the challenges, I see tremendous opportunities for us to look at what we used to do and to say, and if the response to what you used to do is, this is the way I've always done it, then it is a process that is open to be changed. It is something that you could look to see how technology could assist you in that endeavor to change your business processes.
Agreed. Agreed. Very well said, Terry. Um, Alberto, you have any comments on this topic, or Lily?
Yeah, for sure. I like Terry was saying, the challenge right now, everyone's going through the challenge at the moment. There's not a single industry right now that's not feeling the crunch. Of course, you have the airline industries, hospitalities. You have those verticals that are really getting pummeled. But at the same time, these challenges are creating opportunities for other verticals that normally don't see themselves or don't recognize themselves the important role that they play in the economy. So, for instance, we all know that airlines, hotel chains, the big boys are usually, they are very important to the economy. They employ a lot of people. However, the small mom and pop shops, the smaller players in the economy, they're the ones that are usually forgotten. They're the ones that are usually, they don't think of themselves as being a big piece of the puzzle to their local economy, when in reality is they're completely, the opposite. I mean, they need to view themselves and they need to recognize the degree of importance that they play to the local economy. They are equally as important as any of the big players in any local economy, whether it's in a big city or a rural town. The small mom and pop shops are going to play a massive role in being able to move forward. So, first and foremost, I think, yes. So companies like Western Union and the big banking players and airlines and hotels, we all need to push and we need to innovate as fast as we can. But it goes the other side. The same applies to the other side. So if I'm a business, whether I'm a gigantic conglomerate or if I'm a tiny shop in the corner, I have to have the passion, the need to innovate as well. Me as a small business owner, I can't just sit around and wait for the world to keep going by. One of the challenges that we faced in the payments industry, and we've been facing it for years, is, yes, you have these companies investing in a lot of technology, but how do we get businesses to also want to get on that ship and move forward along? Because not everyone has the resources. The people have fear of changing, and that's understandable. But today, what we're going through right now, there are no excuses. I mean, this is seriously the point of no return, where if you are doing things, if you're going to keep doing things like you've been doing them over the last 5, 10, 15 years, and you're not willing to take the plunge and to innovate and try to do things differently, you're not going to survive.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I give you an example. I give a real quick example. I remember when my barber reached out to me because he had to leave his barber shop, and he's in the service industry. So I'm going to answer that question: how can these tactics apply to the service industry? My barber was tied to a shop. He rented a chair because of COVID-19. The congregation of people of coming in droves into a barbershop, sitting and waiting, is not possible. And he's been out of work for 6 weeks. This is how he takes care of his 3 kids. And I had a conversation with him and gave him an idea saying, look, all your clients need a haircut. I just got one last week. We still need to operate. Move your service into either your garage or an area where you can see one client at a time. You have your mask, you have your gloves, you're sterile, you're careful, and provide your services. And he did that in a matter of a week, converted his garage into his salon. He has on his masks, he has on his gloves, and 30% of his customers started coming to his house, making appointments from a booking appointment app online and coming in one by one, not multiple people, not sharing the space. And he's now saying that this is how he's going to give up his space at the shop and start looking at probably renting a space that it's only his clients can come there, using the automated features of a booking system in order to keep his business and keep cash flow running, because there's nobody coming to save him.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a great example. I mean, that's, if you own a business and, okay, so during the first week when this all started happening, everyone's in shock, right? I mean, so everyone's thinking, okay, how am I going to keep my business going? That can't last. I mean, that mindset can't last 4, 5, 6 weeks. You're just not going to make it. I'll give you an example as well. So towards the end of February, I was in a meeting. We had some meetings in Denver. Right around that same time, we were already talking about how do we move the 3,000 or so employees on business solutions to work remotely, right? I mean, do we have the resources? Does everyone have a computer that they can take and work home? And within 6 or 8 days, we were able to put a planning process and get every single one of our employees working from home. Now, much different example, right? I mean, you're talking about a company that has a lot more resources than a barber, but we go through the same challenges. And we could have easily sat there and just, okay, let's ride the wave and let's see what happens. And then the wave crashes and, half of us don't have computers to work from home, or not everyone has the same access to internet in different parts of the world. So these are things that we were able to coordinate and do within 10 days. And, the goal there is to obviously not have service interrupted by this. So, we are happy and we're proud to say that, we're 100% up and running. And it's because we recognize the implications that not doing anything can have down the road. So different example, but it's the same mindset, right? I mean, do you have the mentality of, okay, there's a crisis, boom, how do we survive? There's people out there that'll say, oh my God, I'm just going to wait another 3 weeks because, I just simply either don't have the resources or you're really not you're not understanding the situation. So, it's every business is that, they operate differently, and, it is how it is today.
Got it. Lily, had any comment before we move to the next subject?
It's a great reminder what we've been talking about. And there's a phrase in the Bible that says the last will be first. We're seeing a massive, enormous shift in power to the people because of the technology. We're seeing you were speaking earlier, seeing large corporations like Victoria's Secret, large corporations are starting to shut down, and we have to go back to being as efficient as possible. Like, the luxuries of life, like the commercial real estate space. I'm a commercial real estate lawyer by profession. I have a lot of, that is a luxury that nobody can afford anymore. We're going to see real estate, and there's really no reason for it. It's just accelerated the shift that was coming, which is the shift to ultimate and maximum efficiency in so many ways.
Thank you. We received a comment. We received a question. What role will analytics in moving business intelligence and market insights forward? I mean, Donald, I think the tools and analytics will come into play after the fact. I think people have to be brave to fail and try. because nobody really has the answers. I don't have the answer. Alberta doesn't have the answer. Nobody on this panel has the answer. I think in every situation, it will dictate. It will have a different set of rules, and we all have to try different things and see what resonates with their consumers, right? You know, I read a report last week where it talked about the industries that have benefited from COVID and the industries that haven't, right? Commercial real estate is going to take a bath because in 6 weeks, what companies were afraid to do, like Alberto said, is working from home and the efficiency of it. They now realize that we were forced to and we can operate efficiently. As a matter of fact, everybody I've spoken to working from home, so they're working much harder and they're working longer hours from home. So companies are actually benefiting, and it's creating an efficiency, cutting out traffic, cutting out the effects of our air quality because of the movement of people. I mean, the oil industry has been hurt because of it, but definitely companies like Zoom had 1,200% growth. At the end of 2019, they had 10 million subscribers. Now they have 300 million subscribers. Netflix has gone up by 151 million subscribers worldwide. And there are companies that will really, you know, Amazon has unprecedented growth. Postmates and all the delivery services are having unprecedented growth. So as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you have to go and find the data and see what somebody else is doing. It's not a problem to copy. See how it fits your business and make the changes, test and grow. Today, for the last 10 years, what's it called? Online medical services were not the choice of the consumer. But after the last 6 to 8 weeks, I think everybody has probably had a medical appointment with their doctor online, and now that industry is about to start taking precedence in what we do. So our behaviors are changing, and as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we have to look at what's working and try. As we move through, you know, Terry, you touched on a subject, the support of the public sector, which has always been a slow response by any government in any situation. I mean, as IDB has a close relationship with governments through the Caribbean and Latin America, how do you see IDB pushing the governments to make the necessary changes for this inclusion and for these agile responses from business owners to keep our economies alive to happen?
So IDB has been working with the governments for over 60 years in the Caribbean. Even before COVID came, IDB's agenda with the government has always been around innovation and inclusion. So even in Jamaica, we recently signed with the government to provide innovative financing to SMEs who need it. This is those businesses who are doing innovative things, who needs to do their patenting, who needs to test solutions. So this is rolling out. Yes, as you rightly said, governments sometimes are a little slower to act. But what is important is putting together the framework for the private sector to act. So it's not only about providing incentives or recovery payments or stimulus payments to the businesses, but it's providing the landscape in which businesses can take on a new approach and to do new things. So IDB has been working with the government. There are a number of programs. The government, let's take for example, in Jamaica, IDB has worked with the government to provide some digital support from the tax side standpoint so that more persons can go online and make their payments. We have been doing work with the health ministry in providing healthcare services. We're looking also at telemedicine and telehealth to see how we can help the government in this regard. In other countries such as Trinidad, we do have loans for the government that is geared towards innovation and supporting SMEs in the development. So
So
I would say,
Terry, one question on that. I think
sure.
I've learned in our previous conversations before that there are these facilities, but I think the wider public is not aware of them. And I think how is the IDB helping the end entrepreneur to learn about these funds that you've put together, and which we greatly appreciated. The government's not marketing it. Nobody knows about it. How does this get streamlined to the entrepreneur?
Sure. So how the IDB group works, we work through different partners along with them to roll out these initiatives. So on the government side, we will work with entities. And for example, the Development Bank of Jamaica, we have a number of programs with them geared towards supporting businesses. The DBJ had the voucher for technical assistance. This is still ongoing, which provides a voucher whereby you pay 30% and they provide 70% for services. There is also the innovation grant that they are working on rolling out at this point. In recent years, we also did the Ignite grant with them, which businesses can apply through the DBJ to get access to these funding. So in general, our programs go through whether the government agencies or ministries for execution. As it relates to the private sector side, which is where the IDB Lab sits and IDB Invest provide funding to more established business towards their growth plan, but having in mind that everything we do is about inclusion and how do we improve the lives of people in Latin America and the Caribbean. On the private sector side, there is IDB Lab. IDB Lab operates in two ways at this point. One, for you to be engaged with IDB Lab, we at times put out calls for proposals. I mentioned earlier when I just started that we just did a COVID-19 challenge. We received over 500 proposals from persons across Latin America and the Caribbean who are looking to do and to provide some solution for COVID for the immediate sense. We're also designing new challenges as we see the need come up. So we did last year a Blue Tech Challenge, which is geared towards finding innovative solutions for the blue economy to preserve our water, our sea, our ocean, our marine life, and different solutions around that. Further, there are also what we would call unsolicited proposals. So a person who is looking towards rolling out, a company who is looking at rolling out solutions that would help the vulnerable populations towards whether it's financial inclusion, whether it's building skills for persons who would not have access. We are here to work with partners towards designing projects that would help those vulnerable persons. As I mentioned, at the core of that is inclusion for vulnerable populations. So we're here, we have an office in Jamaica, we have an office in Trinidad, one in Barbados, Bahamas. I'm not sure if all the listeners were operating in about 26 countries across the region. So we are available, or we can share our LinkedIn page. We can share details of how you can get in contact with us. I would advise persons just check out our website. It's idblab.org. Just to see some of the innovative solutions that we're proposing with our partners. And if you see that there is an opportunity to make an impact in our region, whether it's your country or it's across the region, then we're open to listening to you and to helping you to roll out these solutions.
Awesome.
I hope that answers your question. Okay.
That definitely does. And just to chime in, so people understand where Carib Chopper is. Carib Chopper today, in 2019, we pivoted our company from what we originally were, and we're now supporting SMEs and manufacturers in the Caribbean to export the products to the people who want them the most, right? The diaspora and the lovers of the Caribbean living away from the Caribbean, whether they live in the US or they live in Canada or the UK markets. And we've been talking to different groups within IDB, because Grow Local is a platform that is our give first, right? It's to support entrepreneurs, support SMEs by giving them information, helping to grow inclusion, and train and giving information that will help the growth, right? The best knowledge you can have is well, the best thing you can have is knowledge, and then knowing how to use that knowledge to impact yourself or to impact your community. As our goal at Carib Shopper is now our company's more social impact, and we're focusing on small, medium, and even large scale manufacturers be able to sell their products from the Caribbean direct to consumer, not living across the water. We are insanely focused about training, about helping in managing a product marketing, and also we'll definitely be working with IDB to look at some of those grants to see how we can help further SME growth within the region, whether it's making a great product or it's designing the Caribbean culture and being able to export that. Because now that one of our greatest products in this region is tourism, is going to have a hard time in recovering, we need to still keep our economies alive and strong. And as Alberto and as Lilia said, it starts with that SME group, that small, medium group. That is the lifeblood of the economy. And if we all can look at how we can affect that change, instead of buying on Amazon, let's look to buy local. Instead of buying the imported goods, let's support the local farmers. Instead of looking at the packaged fish, let's support the fisherman. Because this understand the movement of money and understanding that you pay John Brown today $1, that dollar then goes right back into our ecosystem and helps out John Brown's family and helps to build a community. So our dollar revolves even better, and it helps the growth. So in looking at how we come out of COVID-19 and becoming stronger, we definitely have to look at and be deliberate about our choices and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with supporting international companies, but we got to protect home first.
Yeah. Karen, can I just add real quick? As you mentioned, the fisher folk, we do have a project. We had one in Chile and one now in Belize, where we're looking at creating a virtual marketplace for fisher folks to advertise your products so that locally the different restaurants or the different persons can come on the platform, make their order so that the fisher folk would now have an opportunity to showcase to a wider audience than the persons who are just driving by where you're located. So I do agree with you that at every level of where we operate, whether it's at the micro business level or the large corporate, we have the opportunity to integrate and to serve our local markets first and then export. Because at this point, we are faced with a challenge that we may not be able to get the supplies we want. How can we take the initiative to produce? Why are farmers who have goods not being able to sell from St. Elizabeth into another parish across the way? Because we're used to just exporting or selling to the hotels. How can we create platforms that efficiently manage the produce that we have so that it gets to those persons who need it? Technology can help us with that and be innovative in our thinking of how to provide these solutions.
Right. And see, Lily in 3 weeks was able to accomplish that in Barbados. Lily.
Exactly.
So much collaboration here. I see collaboration with Terry and what you're doing with the fisher folks. We're doing that same thing. Maybe we could cross with an API connection so that we can all work together. Similarly with you, Keon, what you're doing and empowering those farmers and payment solutions and inclusion with an API with Western Union. I mean, this is an ecosystem that we're creating here. And it's all about empowering the people of the Caribbean. And and yes, of course, it's amazing how, so I started this, I'm a lawyer, right? And I know that in Barbados and the Caribbean, to get an incorporation, it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes more. To get a banking, similarly, like I got my incorporation within a day, right? I was able to convey to the, CAIPO that I needed it urgently. And and I was able to convey that as well to RBC and to Scotiabank, and I had bank accounts within a day, and I was able to do this because time is of the essence. With a week in the COVID economy is worth a year in any other. So we have to really make hay while I mean the sun isn't shining exactly in many ways, but this opportunity that we have, where everybody is all hands on deck to rebuild the future of the Caribbean right now. I mean, it's such fertile soil to be doing that right now.
So appreciate that, Lily. I saw a couple questions here that I wanted to just jump in really quickly. We saw a question here from Franz. He says, great to mention corporate real estate, but what do we think about the future of co-working? I think co-working, I think this is going to be an interesting time, Franz, for WeWork and co-working spaces. I think in the last 6 weeks working from home, it has been crazy for families, right? Homeschooling your children and trying to work and trying to be a parent at the same time has been definitely challenging. But I think co-working spaces will now have to change their model to maybe an hourly rental, a weekly rental. And I think they will still have a place in the commercial space for people to work from. I think they have the strongest play. I think the big office spaces that are just renting square footage and want corporate companies to take space, they're going to get the biggest hurt. But I think co-working can thrive if they look at how their models make it very attainable for small businesses or big businesses to have space for staff that needs to work at different times from an office space to focus or whatever the case may be is. So it's going to be a very interesting time, and WeWork we'll see what happens, what comes out of how WeWork adapts to this, and it will probably set the trend for what's going to happen in the future. Cultural, I see another question from Genesis. Cultural tourism takes on a whole new meaning with the availability of familiar products in the face of not being able to buy a home while traveling. So very interesting that you brought this up, because I know an entrepreneur today that's starting a business in tourism, and he's more focused on the micro aspect of it and the small package travel that's aimed at embracing the culture of wherever you are. And I think that nimble approach and tying that into different Airbnbs and guest houses and villas might be the switch that will make the new consumer behaviors more comfortable and might create opportunities for the beautiful islands in the Caribbean. So if anybody else has a point on that question, please jump in.
Yeah. So, okay. So I have a company called Villa Bound, and it was started 6 or 7 years ago, and it's in the villa rental industry. I was one of the first, in the Caribbean, when Airbnb only had 3 listings or 30 listings. Those are my 30 in the Caribbean, and I built with Airbnb and built out my business utilizing Airbnb. Right. So, like I said, wastage. Right. Wastage in any area. We already have the real estate assets. We already have the apartments that are wonderful, with wonderful reviews on Airbnb all over the world. Why do we have to waste and have large corporate hotel spaces if that's already there? And the economy and the market will decide. Those Airbnbs will drop to to rates that just the hotels will not be able to compete with, and it's just a free market economy, and that will cut out any waste. And we're going to see similarly with WeFetch. I mean, if you think about it, the economy has dropped 80%, right? 80%, we're making less money. So therefore, in order for all of us to survive, we need to be making savings wherever we can, and those solutions that offer those savings will succeed. So if there's anywhere that you can see in the marketplace where you can offer your customers savings, you will be rewarded.
Yeah, if I may add a quick comment on that, in going back a little to the commercial real estate question, which is tied to exactly what Lily was saying, the market's going to decide what's going to happen, whether big hotel chains come back or local businesses thrive, et cetera. I mean, it's going to be up to demand. But we are already seeing behavioral changes. I mean, we internally, we're already having conversations about, okay, what are we doing in the future? Do we all, I mean, is it necessary to rent out, 10,000 square feet and have 200 people working in an office somewhere when maybe, 150 out of the 200 people can work from home? I'm just throwing out numbers, but those conversations are already happening. The market's already, thinking about what it wants when this is all said and done. The market's not going to wait for the governments to say, hey, we're okay to go back to the market's already churning out what it wants to do. And it's 100% going to be, it's not going to be the same. It's going to look slightly different, I think, based on conversations that you're hearing out there with the companies want to do with office spaces and how they used to do working remotely, how they do it now. Have people internally that never believed in the same field. They see now they see how big of a difference and how productive your employees can be working from home.
Gotcha. As we move the discussion forward, we're getting some really good questions here. I wanted to just pick one really, really quick because we're at 10 minutes left, and I wanted to. Oh, so we had a questions about restaurants, right? Restaurants are in jeopardy significantly, right? And what I'm seeing happening in the world today, to answer that question, Franz, is cloud kitchens where restaurants are now renting out their space and focusing more on direct to consumer purchases, right, versus people coming into their restaurant, and curbside pickups. We've seen the adaptation of the DoorDash, the Postmates, the Uber Eats, and right now in Jamaica we have probably about 6 different restaurant delivery companies. It's the first time ever KFC has launched a delivery service. I mean, the incumbents are responding, and this now is creating opportunity for a different outlook from the storefront and the experience. I think we need to definitely look at what's working. The delivery space is very high. E-commerce is very high. Logistics is very high. Digital payments is very high right now. And companies like IDB supporting growth and innovation and helping to push that. And again, this is why we started Grow Local, to share information. A lot of people weren't aware of what the IDB was doing for the community, and now they have a direct contact to their website and are able to look at the programs that might fit whatever they're doing. In closing, guys, I wanted to ask everybody here on the panel, what are some of the things you're doing right now in your own industry to innovate and execute on the challenges you're facing in the business, if you can discuss it? And number 2 is, how do you see that outcome affecting the community and also your internal business? Terry, you can go ahead first.
How we are innovating. I smile to myself because we're in this constant mode of innovation and changing processes and being agile in our response. I mean, let's take, for example, that COVID challenge that we did. Generally, our turnaround time is 6 months or more, and we are rolling out solutions within a month. That is being agile, that's being innovative, that is trying to shorten the time frame and the processes. Um, Even just looking at how you go about your everyday business, how you go about what are the different solutions that are needed out there. Just everyday thoughts are happening, and just coming up with those solutions. So that's some of the things we're doing on IDB side, whereby we're trying to come up with those solutions, listening more, and this is very important, listening more to those persons who interact with, those persons who are clients, listening to the government, listening to the small businesses around the needs that they have, listening to the end users, and then trying to come up with these solutions that would best suit their need. And we're constantly in that mode of trying to come up with solutions for inclusion. It pains my heart when I see the long lines and people being exposed when they should not be being out in the public, the older persons. And what is the solution that we can come up with? And I'm happy when I see different companies who are thinking beyond just making profits, but are thinking beyond this to solutions that are very impactful and could have a transformational impact. And we continue to do that and work with those companies.
Awesome, Terry. And I will challenge you before we go to look to working with more private sector companies that are pushing change and that are focused on the growth of the ecosystem.
Definitely.
Alberto, you're up, sir. What's
Yeah, listen, I'll start by saying that what we're not going to change is the fact that customers are number one, right? So we get started with that, and then we can talk about what will change. And what will change is how we continuously do things. You know, we're always trying to find new ways to innovate, find new products, design new products. You know, how can we make it easier for a business in X country become more competitive by giving them the tools they need to compete overseas? You know, how do we make it easy for a business to grow? Those are the types of things that we're doing, whether, you know, creating new products, working with local governments, working with local banks. You know, it's a machine that never sleeps, really. So, you know, I'll leave it at that. You know, for us, the customer's number one, and then based around that, we'll work as hard as we can and build as many products as we need to meet those needs.
Thank you. And my challenge to you, Alberto, is to try and cut out and figure a way around the lines, because the Caribbean relies on the movement of remittances, and it's sometimes the lifeblood of some families. One family member moves to the States or somewhere else in the world to work and support their family. We wouldn't want them to be getting sick. And I know it's not your challenge, but your company can. We would love to see you guys moving that. And if you need to start petitions, I know the consumers will join behind you to move government. And Terry's smiling because she's ready to start having conversations with you about making that happen.
No, challenge accepted, and trust me, I'm well aware of the complexities and what we need to do better. And you know, trust me, I'm well aware, and you know, it's we'll keep trying.
Gotcha. Lily, your closing comments. What are some of the things you're doing now that you're innovating and helping the community right now? And keep it short because we're almost out of time.
Okay, well, our entire approach is that, right? Innovative, responsive. Like, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be in business at all. But to go back to that Western Union comment, we have a company here called Bit, and we have an M-Money solution, which is an app. And we've actually been paying all of our drivers and all of our fetchers with M-Money. So M-Money just enable, you know, anybody who has a cell phone and anybody who has a telephone number, we can send money from one phone number to the other. And so I can pay my drivers 1, 2, 3 after every single delivery. I can pay them without a problem. So these cloud banking solutions that Western Union have, that M-Money have, they're really the highway of that financial problem in the Caribbean. We must open that up, because the problem is the banks, their mainframe computers cannot really adjust to and their databases to the cloud streaming that's really required to be able to pay on demand, like how Airbnb has it and other large apps, Uber has it. This is a financial solution that these guys have that we don't have here in the Caribbean. So massive effort needs to be put into that financial problem, and I know Western Union is doing it. I know that BIT is doing it. So if the petition has to be signed for 100%, you guys have to go after the market with all of your might and all of the might of your customers right now, because now is the time, because we're hurting. The pain of this problem is greater than the pain that any government can try to put under the carpet or try to resist.
Got it. Similar to how Silicon Valley has fixed a lot of their challenges with technology. Lily, your point is heard. The Caribbean needs to be able to move money faster. People need money in their hands, not waiting days. And there's another company out there called WePay. You should definitely check them out. They're also innovating along the payment space. And I hope we didn't offend of the banks that are on this call right now. I don't think she meant it in an offensive way. She's just urging you guys to be a little bit more nimble and respond to the challenges. And in closing, for me as a CEO of Carrot Shopper, I mean, our job right now is to help the growth of manufacturing, right? For years, China took away manufacturing from many parts of the world. I mean, Jamaica had textile manufacturing in the 70s and the 60s, and it created jobs for people. Today our job force or workforce is focused on tourism and BPOs, and while that's great, there's still a strong grounding where we have always made within the Caribbean great products, and it's in this day and age, it sucks that people would have to jump on a plane, travel home to get some of the products that they're used to and they love. So our job in this is to help that growth, is to get products out, bring foreign exchange into our countries, and help the growth of our SMEs so they can get bigger, they can scale across their borders, and train and affect change in that direction. So we're happy we're playing a part in this. And we're excited for the challenges to come, and really happy to have this call, and really appreciate everybody for taking the time to come on this call. And we'll be in touch. We'll have another discussion in the next 2 weeks. It will be focused on a different topic, bringing in thought leaders and on a different space. And just look out for the emails. As I said, it's a free source, help to bring collaboration within the business space in the Caribbean to grow our region and to keep us strong. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, guys.